アン先生にUnlocking Knowledge, Empowering Minds ということで招待講演をお願いしたいと思います。それではアン先生よろしくお願いいたします。
Thank you very much to President Oike, to Kyoto University, to the JOCW Consortium for hosting this very important and possibly even historic meeting of the OCW Consortium. And thank you for the opportunity to be able to tell you the Opencourseware story. The OCW story is about a very simple but very big idea that is truly making a difference in people's lives and goes far beyond MIT because it's starting to turn into a movement. The big idea behind Opencourseware came from the MIT faculty. A faculty committee that was charged with figuring out what MIT should be doing in the new world of online education. In 1999, at the height of the dot-com era, other universities were announcing ambitious initiatives that were going to generate profits on the intellectual property created at their universities. MIT took a very different path. The very simple but very big idea that was generated at MIT was to give away all of its course materials. The announcement was made in 2001 in the New York Times. A pilot was launched with just 50 courses a year later, and a year after that was the official launch of MIT's Opencourseware. When our president at the time, Charles Vest, announced Opencourseware, he said that Opencourseware expresses our belief in the way education can be advanced by constantly widening access to information and by inspiring others to participate. So the big idea was to give away all of MIT's educational materials based on a very strong belief that education is best advanced when knowledge is shared openly and freely. And the big vision was that MIT Opencourseware would be just one of many. To be completely clear on what Opencourseware is and what it is not the same as an MIT education. It is not intended to represent the interactive classroom environment. You cannot get a degree or any credits from Opencourseware. Opencourseware is a web-based publication of all of the educational materials or course content at MIT, open and available freely to the world. And MIT has committed to make this a permanent activity. This is what our site looks like. It now has 1,400 courses. It's really quite big. It's completely voluntary. The MIT faculty do not have to participate. But as of today, 75% of the university is participating. And listed here are the types of materials that you will find on our site. We use the Creative Commons license, which means that you can do just about anything with our materials as long as it's for a non-commercial purpose. The materials attribute the original author, and any derivative works are also shared openly and freely. This vision to expand access to high-quality materials includes and is especially important to developing countries. We've learned that it's very important to have translations for the site, and these are some of the translations that we link to directly from our site. Each of these translation partners has a quality assurance process to make sure that the translations are of a very high quality. And very shortly, you'll see the impact of these translations. As I just mentioned, the vision to expand access to these materials is especially important to developing countries. However, the lack of network infrastructure in many of these areas, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, create a major barrier to accessing our materials. To overcome this barrier, we have distributed 78 servers locally, concentrated in the developing world, and we plan to dramatically expand this program. Since the announcement of Opencourseware 5 years ago, as we have been expanding the site, and as we have been adding translation partners and mirror sites, we have also learned that OCW is beginning to make a real difference. How do we know that it's making a difference? We measure it and monitor it in 3 ways: by measuring the access, use, and impact of making these materials available. First, in terms of access, this slide shows the overall traffic to OCW since we launched the site, since we launched the first 500 courses 2.5 years ago. In blue, you can see the traffic to the OCW site. The layers in different colors above that are the traffic of our translation sites. So you can see already the impact of those translations. This shows you the distribution of all of our traffic by region. The darker the blue, the heavier the traffic. 20% of our traffic comes from East Asia. And here's a breakdown by country. Japan currently ranks 10th in terms of traffic to the MIT OCW site. To illustrate just how important the mirror sites are, this graph shows in the green, you can see the green line shows all of the traffic to our site from sub-Saharan Africa. The other colored lines on this site represent individual mirror sites. So you can see that traffic to individual mirror sites, as Makerere University in light blue, actually exceed the total traffic to our site from the entire continent. We've learned a lot about the users to our site as well, and you can see here the typical user profile, at least to the MIT site. About half of our users are self-learners, 17% educators, and 32% are students. They are highly educated, and visitors to our site come to the MIT site looking for those types of courses that MIT is best known for: engineering, business, physics, and mathematics. We've learned a lot about how people are using the site from interviews that we've conducted from people around the world, and I wanted to share just a few with you. This is Professor Harjoko, who's the head of the architecture department at the University of Depok in Indonesia. Professor Harjoko has been using the MIT site to try to change the way that his faculty teach. As he says, critical thinking and creativity demand the liberalization of learning and information, but I also believe that it is not simply the information that's valuable, but also the glimpse OCW offers into how MIT structured its teaching and research. Professor Hall, who's a recent PhD, an associate professor at a university in Australia, has used the OCW site to very quickly develop several new courses he had to teach. He told us that OCW saved him an enormous amount of time and stress. I was delighted by the way the material is so coherently presented. It's truly inspiring to see this level of excellence. So that's an institutional use and an educator use. And here's a typical student use. Kunle Adejumo, who is from Nigeria. He attends the university of, one of the largest university in Nigeria, where there are 35,000 students. He told us that he thinks probably only 500 have access to the internet. He's one of the fortunate ones who had access to the internet, and he was able to download lecture notes, problem sets, and syllabus from an OCW course similar to one he was taking. He told us that last semester I had a course in metallurgical engineering. I didn't have notes, so I went to OCW. I downloaded the course outline on this and also some review questions, and these helped me to gain a deeper understanding of the materials. These three case studies are just a few of many, 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 literally hundreds of stories that people have told us from around the world. And from a recent survey that we conducted, 96% told us that they would recommend OCW to others. In addition to delivering benefits to educators and learners around the world, MIT has realized significant benefits as well. OCW advances our education and public service mission and has enhanced our reputation around the world. It generates pride among our alumni and collaboration among our faculty. And because it showcases our curriculum, it has enhanced our faculty and student recruiting efforts. Finally, OCW has dramatically accelerated the use of the web and other technologies in teaching at MIT. So that's the OCW story that started with a very simple but very big idea at MIT. A little bit about how we've implemented that idea, how it's making a difference to students, educators, and self-learners. But now, and far more importantly, we're starting to see signs that the other part of the vision, that MIT would just be one Opencourseware among many, is starting to unfold. There is evidence that this is truly the beginning of an OCW movement. One sign that OCW is a movement is the continued attention OCW is getting in the media. In addition to this morning's press conference, there are stories about OCWs in media all over the world virtually every day. Awareness is key to use and allowing people to benefit from OCW, and hopefully the movement, as the movement grows, will continue to get coverage and continue to spread the word. There are also several journal articles that have been written about OCW. And the most exciting of all are the many, many other Opencourseware sites that are now live on the internet. Here are just a few of over 50 Opencourseware sites available today. Here's a list of the current Opencourseware Consortium members. and there are, in fact, many, many more in planning stages. And this graph represents all of the traffic from the Opencourseware sites together. The MIT site is in blue, and we look forward to the day when that is just a small sliver of the total traffic. One of our very first accomplishments in the Opencourseware group was to define what our mission is. The Opencourseware Consortium mission is to advance education and to empower people worldwide through Opencourseware. Our goals are to extend the reach and impact of Opencourseware, to foster the development of additional Opencourseware projects, and to ensure the long-term sustainability of Opencourseware. One of our first projects in working together is to develop the Opencourseware Consortium, which is currently in a beta stage and will be launched very soon based on the work that we'll be doing together over the next couple of days. So what does this all mean? We are still at the very beginning, we believe, of the Opencourseware story. There continues to be tremendous excitement, and we now know that the vision is achievable. The impact of MIT Opencourseware and the Opencourseware Consortium will indeed be very, very significant. I thank you very much for your attention, and I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.